Michael's news was brief. Dennis was dead. He developed AIDS. It had been ages since Clive had heard from either of those American friends, and truth to tell, he had simply drifted apart from them and lost touch. However, geographical distance was not the main reason. Rather, it was Clive's obsession with Spoke Associates, and what Shirley and others had recognised as his delirious love affair with show business, coupled with the undoubted success of his clients and the growing reputation of his agency. This infatuation had caused him to drop many of his former friends and acquaintances, with whom he now had little in common, and that telephone call, coming from out of the blue, had really knocked him for six. In addition, the details of Dennis's death made Clive feel uneasy about his own state of health. Only a couple of years before, in the early 80s, one or two of his New York friends had died of AIDS, and only last year, when he'd attended the premiere of Night for Day on Broadway, he bumped into his old friend, the American actor Morgan Fleming, and barely recognised him. Shortly afterwards, he had not been surprised to read that the actor was dead. But an ex-lover was a much closer call, and he knew that this relatively newly diagnosed disease was a killer. It made him feel more than a little fearful for his own life, as well as for Michael's, who had sounded so distressed on the telephone. So after Clive's diplomatic attempts at consolation, he assured Dennis's partner that he would leave for Columbus the next morning and be with him as soon as possible. Clive replaced the receiver onto its cradle and slowly eased himself back into his chair, his own life of glittering first nights and star-making quickly receding into the background as he was suddenly overcome by an intense sense of loss. He buzzed through to Shirley and asked her to organise his travel arrangements to fly to the States the next day. Shirley was well aware that Columbus, Ohio did not feature anywhere in the Spoke Associates' diary of engagements, but was sensitive to how agitated that call from the USA had made her boss feel, and went straight ahead and did as instructed. She ordered a black cab to collect him from his home at 9:15 the following morning, at least 30 minutes earlier than was really necessary. Clive's views on punctuality were so ingrained in her that she made premature arrangements as a matter of course. That way, she knew he would arrive at Heathrow in good time to catch his plane, have some airport fruit juice if he liked, and make any last-minute phone calls before his flight was announced. Gone were the penny-pinching days when, in order to save on expenses, Clive would have carried his own bags down to the end of Ladbroke Terrace and picked up a cab at the corner of Holland Park Avenue. Taxis were relatively frequent along that stretch of the main road, so it was easy to hail one there, and living in the west side of London, his journey out to Heathrow Airport could be achieved in no time at all. But that was then, and let's face it, Shirley knew all about the early days of Spoke Associates. Things were different now, and she had the authority to deal with what she feared might be her boss's current crisis in a manner more appropriate to his present status. She was very well tuned in to Clive's mood swings and had become a dab hand at smoothing the waters when the going got rough. Her sharp antennae had become expert in registering the least change of pitch in his voice, and at moments such as these, Shirley had only one tactic. She would allow 15 minutes for fallout, then would move in and commence the rescue operation. So, having made the necessary plane reservations for the following day, first class of course, she set about putting the coffee on and let the dust settle for a while before finally entering Clive's inner sanctum. She checked herself in the mirror, applied a little more lipstick, straightened her pleated skirt, and put her navy blue jacket back on. "Do you want to talk about it, Clive?" "No, not really." "And are you going to sit there all night in your overcoat?" "Shirley, I'd like some coffee." That signalled the end of round one, but Shirley was by no means certain that round two would reveal the reason behind his sudden need to go to Columbus. Although they were close, Clive was curiously uncommunicative about the life he had led pre-Spoke Associates and had related absolutely nothing about his university days. Likewise, Shirley, although once married, had decided to use her maiden name professionally and had volunteered little information concerning her private life or upbringing, and Clive, discretion personified, had duly respected her need for privacy. When Shirley returned with the coffee, Clive had removed his bulky outer garment and was deep in thought and drawing on a Balkan soprani, something he only did when under stress. Shirley placed a small tray on his desk, poured a cup for Clive, adding milk and 1 sugar, then crossed to the drinks cabinet and helped herself to a large scotch. She held out the bottle towards him, knowing full well he would take a shot in his coffee. "Not having seen them in ages, Shirley, makes it all seem somehow less real. Does that make sense?" "Of course it does," she replied, still not knowing who the them were. "Dennis is dead, and I'm sure Michael could do with some moral support."